Hey everyone, welcome back to Simple English Talks. It's amazing to have you here with us today. I hope you're having a great day wherever you're listening from. Before we started recording today, I was thinking about something funny. English learners often tell me I understand English grammar when I study it, but when people actually speak, everything suddenly becomes confusing. And honestly, I understand that feeling completely.
Oh, wow. That's so true. I remember hearing native speakers say things like, he's being rude, or thank you for being here. And I used to think, wait a second, why are they using being? Why not just say, he is rude, or thank you for coming? It felt confusing because textbooks sometimes explain grammar in a very short way, but real conversations don't work like textbooks.
Exactly. Real English is alive. People change words, use expressions differently, and sometimes one small word can have many jobs. And today's word is one of those words. Today we're talking about the word being. And wow, this small word has many uses.
That's right. Today we're going to learn 8 real ways to use being in English. And not boring grammar book explanations. We're going to use real conversations, real situations, and examples that people actually use every day.
By the end of today's episode, you'll understand why people say things like, stop being so serious, thanks for being honest, being a student is hard, and many more. You'll also sound much more natural when you speak English.
And here's a question for everyone listening. Have you ever heard the word being and felt confused? Or maybe you've tried using it before? Write your answer in the comments because we love reading your examples.
And of course, if you're enjoying learning English with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Simple English Talks so you never miss an episode.
All right, today's lesson is going to be fun. Let's jump right into our first use of being.
Okay, let's start with the most common use. Being can describe temporary behavior. This is one of the biggest things learners miss.
Ah, yes. This is where people say things like, you're being noisy.
Exactly. Structure first. Subject plus be verb plus being plus adjective. Now, I know formulas can sometimes scare people because the moment learners hear words like structure or grammar formula, they suddenly think, oh no, this is going to become difficult. But don't worry, because this one... Here are some examples. You're being rude. He's being strange today. My sister is being quiet. Why are you being difficult? They're being so nice.
Here's the important thing. You're rude and you're being rude are not exactly the same. And wow, this small difference creates a huge change in meaning. Seriously, native speakers pay attention to this, because if you use the wrong one, people might understand a completely different message from what you wanted to say.
Yes, you're rude sounds like that's your personality all the time. It sounds permanent. It sounds like you're saying, this is who you are. This is your character. And honestly, that can sound pretty strong. Sometimes even a little harsh.
But your being rude means your behavior right now is rude. You're not attacking the person's personality. You're only talking about this moment, this action, this temporary situation. You're basically saying, hey, this isn't normally you. You're acting differently right now.
That's a huge difference. And I remember making this mistake years ago. I once wanted to tell someone they were acting badly in one situation. But instead of saying you're being rude, I said you're rude. Oh, wow. The room suddenly became quiet.
Oh no.
Yes, because I wasn't talking about one action anymore. I accidentally sounded like I was describing the person's entire personality.
That's exactly why context matters. Imagine your friend usually acts kind, but today he interrupts everyone, ignores people while they're talking, checks his phone during conversations, and answers everyone with short, angry responses.
You might say, why are you being rude today?
Exactly. You're talking about temporary behavior. You're saying today is unusual. Today is different.
Harry, let me ask you something. Have you ever told someone they were being annoying?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I have a funny story. My younger cousin visited my house one summer, and at first, Everything was great. We played games together, watched videos, and talked for hours. But then he suddenly became curious about one thing. He started asking me the same question again and again and again.
Oh.
And when I say again and again, I really mean again and again. First he asked once, then twice, then 5 times, then 10 times.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, 20 times in 10 minutes.
20 times. Finally, I looked at him and said, "You're being annoying."
That's funny because you didn't say you're annoying. You said you're being annoying.
Exactly, because I love him. He's a great kid. Usually he's funny and sweet, but in that moment, wow, his behavior was becoming difficult.
And that's such a natural real-life example.
Listeners, can you create a sentence with being plus adjective? Write it in the comments, because practice is where real learning happens.
Try these ideas. Being funny, being lazy, being kind, being serious, being noisy.
Negative forms work too. He isn't being helpful. You aren't being patient. She isn't being honest today.
Can you say this out loud? My friend is being...
Finish the sentence yourself. Don't think too much, just speak. And honestly, this is something I really want every listener to remember. Sometimes English learners stop themselves before speaking because they want the perfect sentence. They start thinking, wait, is this grammar right? Did I use the correct word? Should I say this another way? And suddenly, instead of speaking naturally, they become trapped inside their own thoughts. But real conversations don't work like that. Native speakers don't sit there checking every grammar rule in their heads before opening their mouths. They simply speak. They make mistakes. They correct themselves. They continue talking. That's how language grows naturally.
Yes, I love that. Because I remember when I first started improving my own English speaking skills, I had a small notebook, and I used to write every sentence before saying it. Seriously, if someone asked me a simple question like, "How was your weekend?" my brain suddenly became a computer. I started checking tenses, vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, everything at the same time. And by the time I was ready to answer, the conversation had already moved somewhere else.
That's such a real experience.
It really is. And one day, a friend told me something I never forgot. He said, "Speak first, improve later." Wow, such a simple sentence, but it completely changed my thinking. Because language is not a school exam. Language is communication. People care more about understanding you than hearing perfect grammar.
That's powerful.
So listeners, when we ask you to speak out loud or finish a sentence, don't worry about being perfect. Just try. That's enough. Quick summary. When behavior is temporary, use being plus adjective. You're describing how somebody is acting at that moment, not describing their personality forever. All right, now let's move to another very common use. And honestly, this one surprises many learners because suddenly they think, wait a second, I thought being was only connected to actions and behavior. But English loves surprising people.
Oh, yes. And I remember the first time I heard this naturally in conversation. Someone said, being a teacher is hard. And for a second, I stopped and thought, wait, why did they use being there? Because nobody was talking about temporary actions. Nobody was describing behavior. Instead, they were talking about an experience. They were talking about life itself.
Exactly. This use is different. Formula time. Being plus noun plus verb. Very simple structure, but wow, you can create so many natural sentences with it.
Here are some examples. Being a parent isn't easy. Being a student can be stressful. Being a good friend takes effort. Being a leader requires patience. Being an older brother comes with responsibility.
And notice something important here. We're not describing a person directly. We're talking about what life
feels like in that role. We're talking about the experience itself. That's the big idea.
I have one. Being an English learner takes patience.
That's perfect. And honestly, I think every listener understands that sentence deeply. Because learning English isn't only vocabulary and grammar. Sometimes people think language learning is simply memorizing words and rules. But it's much more than that. It's emotional too. Some days you feel amazing. You learn 10 new words, understand a movie scene, and suddenly feel proud of yourself. But then another day arrives and you forget simple words you've known for months.
Oh, wow. That's true.
Sometimes you feel confident. Sometimes you feel excited. Sometimes you feel motivated and think, yes, I'm improving. But sometimes, honestly, you feel frustrated. You hear native speakers talking fast and think, why can't I understand everything? That's normal.
Harry, remember your first job?
Oh, yes. I worked in a small store years ago.
What was difficult?
Honestly, being a new employee was stressful. And wow, when I think back to those days, I can still remember those feelings clearly. I remember waking up early every morning and feeling nervous before work. I worried about making mistakes. I worried about forgetting names. I worried about saying the wrong thing. Every small task felt huge.
Really?
Oh, yes. Even simple things felt difficult. Someone would ask me where an item was in the store, and suddenly my mind became completely empty. I knew the answer 5 minutes earlier, but because I was nervous, my brain stopped working.
I think many listeners understand that feeling because starting something new always feels scary.
And that's why examples like this matter. Because suddenly, grammar stops feeling like grammar. It becomes life.
Exactly. English becomes easier when you connect grammar to real experiences.
See? That's natural English.
First tip, use being when discussing life roles. Things like being a teacher, being a parent, being a student.
Second tip, think about experiences. Ask yourself, what does this role feel like?
Third tip, talk about situations people understand because people connect with stories much more than grammar rules.
Listeners, write this sentence. Being is.
Fill in the blank in comments. Maybe say, being a student is exciting, or being a younger brother is difficult, or maybe being an English learner is fun.
And don't overthink it. Use your real life.
Because your own experiences create your strongest English.
Review time? Being can represent an experience, a role, or a feeling connected to life itself.